that to go to Australia. I do not decide yet when I'm going. Maybe about mid-November. Yeah, to take that scholarship, which I have already forgot much and enjoy the talk. And I would like to ask your permission to leave this place to continue the meeting. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Okay, thank you, Prof. Lina, the Dean. Right, so this lunch talk will be delivered by Dr. Mareta. So in the beginning, I'm just curious about the name is not typical of him, but actually Dr. Mareta is an Indonesian citizen, graduated from State University of Surabaya. I think similar with Dr. Destina, and then some of you will be graduated from IKIP Surabaya or Universitas Negeri Surabaya. Dr. Marita continue master and PhD at Ohio State University, similar like Dr. Tati, right? So it's American production. Oh yeah, of course. So the alumni, right? So okay, so this topics is very important, and then because later in the future you will be faced with different citizenship, different cultures, different background. I still remember, I think around 8 years ago, I joining the University Malaya. At that time, they recruit me to become a lecturer there to join their what we call a 7 system leadership study. So we come from 7 countries, and then when we at that time, what we call this Zoom at that time is not available, but we do the what we call video conferencing. And of course, video conferencing at that time is not a good technology yet, right? So there's so many delay. There are sometimes we can talk, but the person in other countries say we cannot hear, he cannot hear. So there's so many that kind of thing. When finally we can meet in Kuala Lumpur, we have academician from Russia, from UK, from Australia. And then the differences between us is not as easy as we think, right? So there's a lot of ego, there's a lot of cultural background that we have to understand, right? So thank God I'm Malay, so so just be nice and keep quiet sometimes. It's a good strategy, right? So for that, I think Dr. Mareta will explain more, okay, about the topics. Okay, Dr. Mareta, okay, floor is yours.
Hello, everyone. Good morning, good evenings, good afternoon, maybe good night for those who are joining from around the globe. Um, Thank you so much for the wonderful introductions, Dr. Bambang. And thank you for being here. First of all, I would like to welcome you in my sessions. And also for those of you who are joining in a Zoom room, thank you. My 6 years old reminds me to ask about your feeling. So just as a promise, how are you feeling right now? Is it good? Good. Thank you. Yeah. So um, I am here for reasons, and it is an inspiring story. As many of you familiar with the current situations, we are living in a world full of problems, sometimes with no fixed solutions. In 2021, we were reminded when there is a COVID-19 pandemic, people have to juggle with multiple things such as their health, educations, unconfirmed vaccines, personal issues such as losing like a family death, housings, job, educations. And those to me who are still alive or here um, have been filtered by the virus. You may disagree with that. So we survive, in battlings with the COVID-19. And following the pandemic, um, we had to deal with the racial violence. Some of you might be familiar with the term Asian hate, Black Lives Matters. And currently, yesterday, I read the news about Palestinians' hate that occurs in the United States. And then the impact, those kind of the violence impact us emotionally, and some of us experience that physically, and a continuous war of several countries several years ago between Ukraine and versus Russia. And currently, we are witnessing a real war between Israel and Palestinians that took many innocent civilians. So centering care and compassion in collaborative research with diverse members aim to engage you in iterative process of research, how we can strive, collaborate one another, especially in higher educations, how we can contribute to our community that we belong and that we represent to. Some of you might already know who I am, as it has been introduced by Dr. Bambang. My educational backgrounds and experiences shapes who I am right now. The knowledge that I learned during my undergrad, my master, and also my doctoral study contributes to the materials that I would like to present. And having educations as my backgrounds influence how I feel and how I view the phenomena happenings in my community. I know that I have finished all of these degrees, and I put it with the word continue because I believe that learning is a continuing journey. So I would like to continue someday. So just to give you a background of my activity, currently I'm an active member of Alpha E, the Alumni Associations of US Indonesia scholarship programs in education division. So with the main responsibility as a research specialist. So I give a consultants according to my expertise on the qualitative research. So we conduct research in a multiple topics across the nations. Also, I am serving refugees from various countries with post-arrival educational programs. It is located in Ohio, the United States. So the program is designed for the refugee and immigrants resettling in the United States. Specifically, I conduct an assessment of the cultural orientations class that they have completed. So with this opportunity, I view this like a blessings, I'm serving those who were like a vulnerable community, how I can help them to thrive in a different cultures and start making sense of what happens in the world, concerning with the real world happening. So just to give you like a visualize of how the August resettlement numbers coming to the how people migrate in the world because of the war. In general, we accept over 600 people across the nations, like from Afghanistan, Asian, Salvador, Colombia, and etc. I also be part of the Ohio Immigrant Alliance. There is a group of Ohio immigrants and citizens working together to protect the dignity and rights of all individuals who choose to make Ohio their home, regardless of race, religion, gender expressions, age, ability, and citizenship status. So we engage in activisms and volunteerisms that connects communities across the states and expanding our voices and our collective power to hold our leaders accountable. So recently we published a book this month. Feel free to scan it if you are interested. So on that book, I work together with people across the nations to document the story of how I engage my 6 years old in the multicultural conversations in a daily life. Okay, so this is the agenda. I will share about, how I came in this group, the diverse group that I experienced during my undergrad, and then who we are, the demographic of each members, the methodology that we used, because we have to deal with, a lot of data, especially with the qualitative, and then the theoretical framework, the data collections, findings, some implications, and relevant resources that I hope maybe that will be helpful. Before that, let me do the checking questions. How many of you had experiences participating in collaborative research? Maybe you can raise your hands. And the students? Okay. And maybe for those who are joining in the Zoom room, feel free to use like emotion reactions or type on the chat. I can see. I will make sure to see it later. Okay. Next questions. How do you approach professor to ask for collaborative research or work together with them or involved in their projects? Anyone want to share? Okay. Okay.
Okay, my experience is very simple. At that time, I'm looking for a job. Okay, so moving to another city. So the professors come from UK, and then they are asking Indonesian who will do the work for what you call as Indonesian school. That's the reason.
Thank you. Anyone else want to share? How do you approach your professor?
Yeah, in my case, how do you approach Professor Tos? Okay, in my case, I had a grant. I applied for a grant in this university, and then it requires some sort of collaboration, international collaboration. So the first one comes to mind, someone or those whose interests will be aligned with mine, and also probably would be um, and the diversity in terms of where they are, because I think it would give some plus point when we have more diverse in terms of the location and the nationalities. So this will be my concern when I'm requesting or asking for collaborative research.
Thank you. From the students, how do you approach professor? Yeah.
Thank you, Doctor. As my experience, I also, oh yeah, my name is Novinta Nurulsari from PhD program. As my experience, when I had some kind of brand, actually, I'm involved as a member, and then my professor will be the leader of the research. And then I asked him to give some kind of recommendations for me to contact some professors around the world. So I sent some email, and then it is related to the research plan. And then after that, I tried to contact him by WhatsApp. And then, Alhamdulillah, yeah, the professor sent the give positive response to me. That's all.
Thank you for your response. Oh, that's beautiful experience. Anyone? Okay. So it reminds me of a journey as I reflect on my graduate students. I started in 2018, so before the pandemic. So I met with classmates, had a wonderful conversations with them until in 2020, I think, the pandemic happened and it changed everything, the way we interact. We have to stay in isolations. So everything I have to do it by myself. So at the time, I wonder, how do I engage in the research? Because it is part of um, responsibility if you want to earn degree in higher educations, master, PhD in certain fields. And then how to ask for collaborative projects, because the informations at the time, in my case, remain limited. It's not, openly um, distributed in emails or something. But yeah, it's just limited opportunity. There is, but with a lot of requirements. And then how do I approach professor? Because it remembers when I asked for one person's to another person's, they give me a different feedback. So just ask them, one said, and then another one, you have to wait. This is a big project for them. So instead of um, having clear answer, it end up with a confusion for me. Okay. So, and then one day I received an email um, about Qualab Graduate Student Board with the main responsibility is, just shoot us an email if you are interested to participate in this. Especially if you want to advance your qualitative in terms of advancing the issues around diversity, equity, and inclusions. So I decided to sign up. How many of you experience rejections? Can you raise your hand? Rejections of being, rejection applications, scholarship, some of you, right? Yeah. And how do you feel being rejected? Can you, maybe happy feelings, sad feelings, or maybe neutral? Can you show your emotions when you experience rejections? Yeah. So uh, the what I really appreciate of this graduate student board, the Qual Lab, or we call it GSB. Um, this group is organically formed. There is no CV that we have to send, which is great because usually a system, looking for the candidates, try to screen you, try to reject you, accepting certain people. And then there is no interview session. Yeah. So this group is organically formed only for those who are interested, So we accept everyone who really interested and pay attention to this kind of issues. Um, yeah. So we met twice in a month, and then we decide to conduct a research based on at the time, the current situations, the pandemic and the multiple violence. So given the current unprecedented multiple pandemics of COVID-19, which refers to the anti-Black violence and white supremacy, if you're familiar with that term. So a group of graduate students and a faculty member who hold diverse identities across disciplines, race, gender, nationality, and additional categories came together to focus on qualitative research as an ontological or being, epistemological as knowing, axiological or the ethics of praxis space for community and culture change. So we identify the group as a vulnerable as we reflect on the graduate students' experiences with the multiple pandemics, as well as we try to think about how we work and continue to work transformative change as we reframe our own understanding of qualitative space. So we try to rethink about, conducting qualitative research in an advanced way. However, for the purpose of these talks, I just want to engage you in these two questions. How do we engage in a meaningful collaborative research across disciplines grounded in care and compassion? And then as a graduate student, how do we reframe the qualitative as a space for enacting social justice? To give you a context of the study that I conduct together with the group, so we finish our first project. Feel free to scan it if you need a reference for this. So we are the graduate student board enrolled in the research apprenticeship course. So we finished the first work, and then we are right now continuing on the second projects, which is under publications. For the second work, we focus on the process itself and the reflections. So this is the graphical representations of the research teams, 9 of us. It starts with the no pointer. Okay, Myungjin. She's a Korean, identified as a wife, international students with Korean look. And then Penny Pasway is the professor or professor who identifies as a bisexual, Italian, the first generations Italian American. And then Chelsea, who has chronically ill. Yeah, she's a cisgender. And Tessa, who gender pronouns she, her, hers. She is white, and then first generations of the PhD students. And then Shay use they them represents the I can see gender non-conforming. And then Spencer, he's a white man. And then Alexander, he's the one who identifies as a black and also a father. And Lisa, she, her, hers. She is a cisgender, woman of color. And then me, myself, I am as a mother, she, her, hers. I'm Indonesian, Asians. So for the second projects, there are 4 of us, Penny, Myungjin, Alex, and I. So we utilize the interconnectivity across differences, which refers to Keating, who writes how interconnectivity does not assert sameness across life experiences. Rather, it invites intentional relations building by examining both similarities and differences to create pathways to empathy. I know Dr. Charina is one who is expert on empathy, coalition buildings, and transformations. And then we use SPN by Nash, scholarly personal narrative, a style of public intellectual writing based in storytelling and self-disclosure, one that draws from a variety of academic and non-academic references and finding, because it allows the writer to communicate in a way that is accessible and creative and realistically reflects the complexity of daily life and our personal identity. So we collect data, uh, like journals and responses over the Carmen Canvas. This is the platform that we use. We had 3 individual journals. And then we also did a video recording because we did it during the pandemic. So Zoom meeting, online meeting was a trend with over 100 pages of transcripts. We also had group artifacts, including the emails from group that and the tools we use is Microsoft Outlook. I can talk more detail about this when you have questions. This is how we analyze data because, understanding we are a big group, 9 of us, and then each of us, were asked to write reflections. And sometimes, because at the times I remember it's really personal, we just want to write everything, our feelings, happy. It's just mixed feelings, it's just love writing. And then we start with the open coding. We split into the 5 smaller groups. And then we had magic moments. How this is the phase when we filter the large amount of data. And then we also share the initial findings. So we come back together as a large group to present our initial findings. And then we write short reflections. And then we come up with the finding that is the interconnectivity amongst 9 of us. Then the final phase focus on the writing, meta-analysis, and reflections. So these are the points of interconnections among 9 of us that we felt several themes emerge from our narratives that include privilege as our position as a graduate students, and then the experience of guilt and lack of safety, and then the importance of kinship. So to give you a clear idea about how it looks like, talking about privilege, guilt, kinships, I pull up some quotes from the each of us. So like a Tessa, see how, um, can I really say that I am committed to a more just world when I am actively avoiding some of the stressors that coincides with doing that work? So yeah, she tried to reflect on her own experiences. And then Spencer, because again he is white, so maybe at the time he didn't experience what it looked like as an Asian hate because of his whiteness, because he did not feel like his body was in danger from racial state violence. So he tried to show his empathy to other group members. And then the experience of guilt and lack of safety. As Lisa mentions, what does it mean for me to work as a fitness instructor because I need that money to live and pay bills and put myself and other at risk? Because again, that with the home shelter policy, where we were asked to, just stay at home doing everything online. However, in another situations, someone has to earn money, to live. So the the situations is really complex for each of us. Like Alex and I, we were confused with how can we spend focusing on schoolwork while also maintaining our responsibility as a family. Juggling with um, academic and non-academic life, taking care of children and family. And then Alex also did a reflections on how black people were killed in his community, how those kind of situations affects um, his feelings for the rest of his day. And then Myung-jing, the one who with really a look, someone called him Corona Beach when she walked on the street. So it's really everything that happened, that what we experience represent how the world treat us. And then we understand the importance of kinships as we reimagine that another world is possible. Um, to me, how I view this group, the collaborative work, is a space where I can share something that somehow it is personal, but the way people respond in the group is really motivating me to share. So I receive, it's really encouraging, and there is no judging feedback. However, we try to build a community, the culture, want to listen, and how we can care one another. And then Spencer, because he's white and he didn't experience what other Asian students experience, so he tried to empathize with others member. And then Shay, who reflects on their experience as, this space takes it away from like how one person is experiencing through the pandemics and take it to how we are experiencing the pandemic. So how we come together, from the personal and then come together in a big group to build the caring culture. And then Shay, who represent a gender non-conforming persons, you know, understand the power of kinship network with fellow trans individuals as the reflections that connects with other members. They also focus on the importance of kinship network as they say, I like that space because it allows to step outside ourselves and see what everyone else is experiencing, because it is all affecting us differently, even though we are all graduate students. So with diverse identities, background, experiences that we come together as a group, we find that there is connection as a graduate students, and then the experience and the another identity as we view ourselves as a vulnerable person. So in terms of collaborative research, maybe I will pause with these questions. How do we employ collaborative research given a specific case here in Triple IU? Or for those of you who are watching these presentations in your own context? And then how do you implement or maybe picturize doing collaborative research for transformative change, considering the issues that happenings, right now, the war. So it's complex problem. So I pull up some quotes. Collaborative research serves as a framework that can transform any research method into a socially just endeavor, particularly when the research is concerned with the development and or social change in group and communities who experience educational disadvantage. So really, we were uh, 9 of us who identify um, as a person who experience specifically the educational disadvantage. So we come together how to challenge the system. So we want to focus on the research that center social change. As I did the reflections, because this is the ability of individuals and communities to reflect knowingly upon the social conditions of their existence. Um, these are the interconnectivity as we found the connections among the group members. Also institutional change, how we try to build an inclusive system. And I mentions that there is no filter, in accepting our members. So everyone is accepted, even though like this is, graduate students, but there is the one who come from a master's students, and the rest of them are the graduate PhD students. And then the power of living as a co-SPN with qualitative research team, and then the kinship and connectivity. So I was so blessed with this group because the experiences that we had, and then how um, people who have a concern on advancing the issues of DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusions, provide those space, for our graduate students with this kind of experience, research, how we do collaborative research. And then we also obtain a grant to support the work, the first and the second grant to continue the work on the second project. We finished the work and then we publish it in a high ranked journal. And then we also had a presentations. So really, this kind of experiences is, I would say, this is complete. We can take it, from a different layers, especially for those who are or who wants to have a career in academia, publications, presentations. So this is just to give an example of how we position ourselves within the group. This is part of the second manuscript. If you can see the white, the yellow one represents the student layer, and then the gray one is the instructional or faculty member. So if you see this arrow, we position as an equal, in you're not a professor, but we are students. But those professor who is willing to learn from us, to listen from us, as well as we are graduate students, want to learn from each other as a group. And we, one of member Myung Jing, who is Korean, um, is with this terminology. We call it the baby bird. So we graduate students like this one with a mentor professor as the mother bird, and we are the egg who are ready to hatch, at the end of our graduate student, at the end of our study, we ready to thrive in our own career. Um, and we carry these experiences that we believe benefit us for our future careers. Okay, so to give you visual representations, what does it look like and sound like to participate in collaborative research grounded in care and compassion, considering um, the social issues that keep occurring in our daily life. So as the lockdown policy ended, we decided to come together as a group because the district allow people, to come together to hold party by wearing masks. So the professor invited us to come to her house. We had a pop party to celebrate our relationships, our achievement on many things, on publications, on presentations. It's really casual. So um, she invited us, the family, the group. The professor is the one wearing sandal and a short pants. So just really casual with a t-shirt. So we come together, just talk, mingling, and then we also had experience in participating in international research together with other scholars who focus on the qualitative. So we exchange idea and share uh, space, to do collaborative work. And then we also participate in ESG Research Forum. So this is a local conference. Maybe Dr. Tati familiar with this. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, a lot of opportunity that we experience from this collaborative work. And then years after, when we finish our first project, our relationships still continuing even until right now. So one of the member, Alex, who is also parents, invited me to come to celebrate his son's birthday party. So collaborative research, it sounds like this. I hope I can click it well, right. Sorry, that's my voice. Yeah. We felt like there is the connections between all the group members, how we build and maintain those relationships even until right now. We still, in a good communications with each member, because even though like I present this, I ensure that I tell each member that I want to present this topic, and then yeah, they support me and they offer help um, within this presentation. So yeah, the relationships is continuing until right now. So as I mentioned about the resources that I hope it will be helpful. So I work in a qualitative lab. So it focused on the advancing the issues of diversity. If you are interested, feel free to scan it. So it is a critical tool for educational and human science researchers. Especially we want to investigate the complex problem that answer questions about how to develop a society that values equity and justice in our higher education institutions and the policy that guide the operations. So they also held Advanced Method Institute. So this year I participate in persons and online. Hopefully they will hide it again in a hybrid format. So It features internationally recognized and award-winning qualitative scholars who will share innovations in qualitative inquiry and strategies for applications for readers on research projects aimed to advance the equity, diversity, and justice. So it provides groundbreaking interactive workshop on new and innovative approaches to qualitative inquiry that address equity and justice. So I participate this year, and I met with the international scholars that usually I cite in the work, and yeah, it's just great opportunity. You may considering to uh, join these sessions. And then, yeah, International Congress of Qualitative Inquiry, or ICQI, held in the Urbana, Illinois, United States. So if you focus on qualitative and you want to present your qualitative work, you may consider this. Maybe Triple IU had a grants, to support this. It's maybe a better chance to travel to the United States with a long flight. Yeah. Just for your reference. I think right now they are accepting manuscript, so it is a good chance to try to submit your manuscript for next year. So yeah, that's all of my presentations. Feel free to had ask me questions, anything about academic, non-academic life, anything during my office hour. Thank you so much.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Marita. So things refreshment and then very good sharing. Okay, also just realized that this is the opportunity during COVID that sometimes we are not realized. So we may be complaining about cannot go out, not so many opportunity. But I think your experience telling us that's a lot of things that we can do, right? I still remember in when I was in Malaysia, there is what we call as announcement from our vice chancellor, similar to rector. They say there's a university in China uh, going up in ranking because they have the first data in terms of analyzing COVID virus. Okay, so there's a lot of publication, there's a lot of citation that's make their ranking going up. Okay, so there's another opportunity in terms of COVID situation, right? So thank you very much. So we open for any questions or comments or critics her, right? So Purkon, there's another person want to ask?
Okay, thank you very much. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Furqanul Hakim from PhD Educators. I just want to share a little bit my experience about collaborative works, especially on research. In Indonesia, we have national competitive or hibah nasional, and every year we propose a proposal for research and also community services. And currently, one of the requirements is doing collaborative research with our college from different university or different colleges. So, but I just want to share my experience about how did I cope with the diverse team members. Because talking about grant, we talk about money, and along my experiences so far, it's a little bit difficult to cope with the problems of fundings because the moment I choose the members of my research collaborations, yeah, there was no an open talk about how should we face about the fundings and so on and so forth. Then it came after the research done. So this is so complex in Indonesia, especially doing collaboration with Indonesian friends, to be honest. And could you please share us how did you cope with the fundings things or everything's about your research with the diversity members? That's the first questions. Second of all, about the topics, you've mentioned that we have to cope with the current situation or the current issues or the status quo right now. So as we know, we come from different background, educational backgrounds, sexual orientations, or cultures, and all, and so on and so far. And how do you come with the topic chosen in your collaborations research? And the last question is about the in Indonesia. It is a must for us to be consistent in conducting research, especially if you want to achieve a professor title in Indonesia. This is my wife experiences. He proposed for lecture 300 lectures for this year, and most of the research what's called scores are cancelled, declined by the committee of the assessor. Uh, since my wife did many collaboration research, because of the topics, out of the background and out of the departments is working right now. So unfortunately, almost half of the scores uh, got by my wife was cancelled by the assessor. So this is so challenging in Indonesia, right? Can you tell us about this, or especially in this hardly topic in your collaboration research? Thank you.
Okay, I can answer first. So about the funding, yeah, when we come together as a group, we had no idea about the funding. We just want to come together as, graduate students with lack of collaborative research experiences. And then there is a dedicated faculty member who created that space with her visions on doing collaborative projects. So we come together, and then we also share our, the first second meeting is just about sharing who you are, what strength do you brings to this group. And then until finally we come up with the idea of, oh, we conduct a research because we are under the qualitative lab. So during the process, we read the informations about the funding opportunity. So everything is just come naturally in our case. So yeah, we apply for the funding with the focused on, advancing collaborative work in higher educations. And then we apply, and then we got accepted for the first phase. And then we continue working on the second project. We saw another funding, and then we just apply it, and then we got it. So it seems easy for us because we found a matching things between the system and then the current situations. So I would say that how we have to be mindful about reading the system, reading the opportunities that you come in your own context. And then how we can focusing on, it's not only about the getting funding and then increasing ourselves, but there should be a space. In this case, it should be a case how we can contribute to community, how we our experience as a group is acknowledged, to inspire our community. So, and then that is why we come with a theme, answering their second questions about collaborative work during the pandemic, how we define the multi-violence, because in one context to another context maybe it's different. So we decide to have this topic because it reflects on the current situations at the times, and how um, because in the United States it's about racial, racial violence, and I would say it is relevant maybe we are in Indonesia right now is not really, have a direct impact on us. But when it happens, currently when there is a war between Israel and Palestine, and those impact us in different ways, and share our feelings. So to the friends, the Muslim friends who experience the Palestinian hates that I read the news yesterday. Um, oh yeah, it's about creating a theme that is relevant, because research is also about giving impact to the community. When you conduct research, but when there is no impact, and then why do you do research? Yeah, but creating research that should impactful to the community that you represent. So in this case, we are like Asian students, um, try to being impactful to our Asian community, and there is also Black students, and also LGBTQ students in our group. So yeah, this group is really have a complex and rich experiences. Yeah. Another question, and maybe questions in online.
Okay, thank you, Doctor. I am Nurul from PhD program. Maybe this is the second time I ask. It is related the interconnectivity. I think it is a good thing how we can have some kind of more value and bonding for all the member in the research collaboration. But I want to ask related the interconnectivity. Maybe already told that when you come to the group, it is experiences. But how if all the members have many experiences, like professor, maybe doctor, and how to build of a very good start to have some kind of good interconnectivity between us? Because if some kind we propose some kind of that thing, just afraid that they will some kind of feeling pressure or something, how to make some kind of open the way to have some kind of good connections between us. Because yeah, sometimes in the research collaborations, I am as the junior member, maybe just a little bit confused how to build some kind of a good connection between our member. Maybe that's all. Thank you, Doctor.
Okay, I can answer questions. Yeah, so thank you for the great questions. How to, yeah, with this kind. So it reminds me about the culture that we built in this group. As I shared earlier, that there is no judging, comment, feedbacks. So we really identify ourselves as a graduate students with those kind of with lack of experiences. And if you give me context, what if those who have many experiences, I would say maybe one thing is trying to understand who you are when you come together as a group. Try to unpack your identity as a group, who you are, um, why do you have to come to this group, what strength, what weakness you bring to this group, and how we can help you, as a community, to thrive together. It's not about competitions, but how we can build such caring culture. Because to me, what I experienced during my graduate school, it serves as an example, of how I treat people, how I treat maybe my future students. So yeah, and I'm so blessed. I had this space. I am so privileged with this opportunity. You know, because of this lack of experience, I would say that came with a blank paper, like a child, with a blank paper, and then this group filled me with, I would say, inspiring story, inspiring attitude of how we treat one another, grounded in care, compassion. So during the meetings, we listen to one another. it's not, it's not listening like, hey, how are you? It's not saying says how are you, but when you say how are you, because it's pretty common, in a Western culture saying, just say, hi, how are you? And then don't expect someone sharing everything, in your life. But how are you? We share something and other members really listens with the deep connections. Because again, as we examine who we are when we come as a group, we found something connections that is a great with students, our experiences with lack of research experience, and then we focusing on how we build the culture. And then when you mentioned about the how we positions ourselves, with the junior, senior, again, I'm so blessed that there is no such term come up in this group because of the culture that we built. We try to eliminate those terminology. Even the professor, if you see, professor wearing sandal and a short pant is pretty uncommon, but it's contextualized. But the point that I want to emphasize here is, um, you know, um, how you position yourself, especially this is the Faculty of Educations, what the student learn from these institutions will be replicated, when they graduated um, from their school. So we, professor, really is the one like willing to listen, even though like determining the topic is just based on the students. So she only listen and guide us, the topic, everything is based on the students, on the student interests. So I hope this inspire you all on how you treat other research members or your future students. Yeah, thank you. Maybe in online, I don't want to
Yeah, yeah.
ignore that.
There's one online audience want to ask. Is it can directly? All right. Okay. Okay, please. From Kemenag Kota Madiun. Are you listening? You want to ask question?
Or maybe
Sure.
the chat or something.
Okay. It cannot open camera. So this is the question.
Okay.
Okay. So how do I approach my professor in Indonesia to do collaborative research? Based on my experience, it is not easy to approach professor except for my dissertation project.
Is it true?
Triple IU. My question, why did you choose SPN as your methodology rather than conventional qualitative methodology such as case study? Could you please talk more about SPN? Thank you.
Yeah. How to approach professor? Yeah. Is it hard to approach professor in Indonesia? Yeah. Yeah. Back to my experience, I was not sure either. How do I approach professor? Um, in my case, in the United States, which is most people are very open, because again, that I received multiple feedbacks with the confusions, how how to approach professor. But as I suggest, um, just talk them directly, with the respectful, show your interest. But before that, ensure that you did the research about their backgrounds, their research interests, about their publications, maybe something that you find the connections between your projects, and then why are you want to work with those professor. And yeah, just be yourself, be human being who acts, positions yourself as someone who is willing to learn from the professor, experienced professor. Uh, don't hesitate to ask, because you never know the power of asking. Yeah, and then about the SPN, as I mentioned in the presentations, it focused on the interconnectivity. It is still uncommonly used, this theoretical framework in doing the collaborative research. So we decided to use this methodology, this framework, because we find that this is really relevant to our group. So I would suggest that if you work in a group, find something relevant that reflects not only about your research interests, but also reflects the group members. So we decided to use this, the SBN, because it capture, the complexity of each individual, the complexity of our identity and our experiences as we come together as a group. Yeah, thank you.
Test. Thank you. Is there any question? Maybe the last question before we close this session. Anybody? All right. So I just want to share my experience, Dr. Mareta.
Sure, yes,
Yeah.
share.
What you call is, I'm very lucky. I got opportunity to study overseas. So that's what you call is what I flirting with many of you also the experience that what you call this equal opportunity, that kind of thing that's happened to me, and then that makes some kind of effort in order to approach others. So it doesn't meaning that when you approach somebody, you cannot expect that the person will automatically will want to collaborate with you, right? So sometimes you know the person that you approach is not really want to collaborate with you. So yeah, I think the same thing like what you said, and then my experience doing collaborative research, doing the research, no problem. Okay. After getting publication, no problem. After the publication, then the problem comes. The person claim that the work is most likely by them. Oh my God. So that's also need to be careful. All right. So I always insist to all students, keep everything, evidence, email conversation in safe place, right? When something happen in the future, so you have some evidence to show, and then that can protect your what you call this reputation, and then and can show but the effort that you done to the project, right? So is there okay?
Can I add
Yeah.
something? Yeah. In terms of, claiming your work in collaborative research, I hope this can inspire you. So Spencer, who is the one identified as a white man, come up with the idea of how we decide, to do the authorships when we do publications, because this is 9 of us, and then because we come from diverse backgrounds, as I mentioned, white, people in the United States try to tend to privilege white more than of color, if you are familiar with that term, brown, white. Yeah. So Spencer had an idea because he has, privilege as a white graduate students. So he initiates, what if we are white students, put ourselves in the authorships at the end, and then let the scholar of colors, are in the front. So we were in a critical examinations, even though, like, putting who should be the first author, who should be the second author. So we were really mindful of, ourselves, what privilege do we bring in this group, and how we can help others, for those maybe who need, because I come from Asian, me and Myung Jin come from Asia. I understand the pressure of doing publication. So yeah, they let those students, Asian student of color, are in front. So really, this group is just, it means beautiful things to me. Because it is grounded in, care and compassion, and it is reflected. It's not just only I care, I care for you, I listen to you, but it is implemented through actions, through the authorship. And even as I mentioned, sharing this collaborative work, because I know that this work belongs to everyone, the data belongs to everyone. I have to ensure the ethical of sharing this work to you in these big institutions. So I let my members know that this plan, and then they offer support. So yeah, it's really about building supportive system, and of course with the policy. Before I decided to share this topic, I contact the professor to make sure the IRB, the institutional review board, the policy held by the Ohio State University about sharing the research. And then the professor say that, okay, of course you can do this research because this is part of your work. But in this way, if you want to change like the questions, you have to apply like an amendment, you have to submit the another applications, which is long process. And then, but yeah, thankfully that I ended up with this topic, and then it has been approved by the institutions and then the group member. So it's about, try to keeping your work, but also with the clear policy. And I hope there's a policy in Indonesia about doing that. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Marita. So I think your sharing is very good in terms of providing us a new perspective. Okay, so don't be afraid to doing a collaborative research. Okay, and it is what we call as a new thing also for me for your explanation. So thank you very much, Dr. Marita. So please join me around with applause to her. Okay. And with that, thank you very much. Very good afternoon. And then wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Okay, baik. Mbak Afra, kita mau foto bersama? Okay, so maybe Dr. Mehta, we sit here. Mbak Afra will take picture from over there. Is it?